Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, we got Caleb with Caleb Sells. And it's not the first time he's been on the channel. So we appreciate you coming on. We are going to really deep dive some of the resale market, some mystery about what's going on. Is it even worth reselling anymore? And kind of look at what your business has been doing this year. Because I see, wow, you've been crushing it. So appreciate you coming on again, man. Kind of just give me, let's start it off. What's going on in the resale market? What do you see from your perspective? Is there, an opportunity still as there was, a couple years back, or what is your thoughts?
Cool, man. Appreciate the intro and appreciate you having me on again. I had a blast last time. I actually listened to our previous podcast this morning just to make sure I wasn't going to, contradict myself or say the same thing for 2 hours straight for the people here. But yeah, thanks again for having me on. As far as the resale market, I'm still very, very optimistic about the future of reselling. I know that you've had a lot of people on recently that are obviously resellers, but some of my friends that are clothing resellers, and that documentary that you brought up about the abundant waste in our country, I just don't think that's going away anytime soon. There's some new government agencies trying to improve our efficiency and reduce our waste. That's not going to happen in the foreseeable future from our world. I mean, I of course hope the best for those things, but there's always going to be an overabundance, and especially in clothing, because it's such a disposable thing in our country and people treat it as a disposable thing. And the more I learn about clothing, the more I realize that there are just so many things that have value to the right person. And it's our job to present the value to the person that sees the value and get the thing from the person that doesn't see the value or has the items that people never saw the value in the first place. And that's never going away. That is from the beginning of time, trading resources, trading goods, and it will always evolve and adapt, but it's not going away.
Yeah. Yeah. In that, I mentioned that documentary for the last few people that we've interviewed because it just opens your eyes. It's called Buy Now on Netflix, and I suggest all resellers just watch 10 minutes of it. They do a really good job at keeping you engaged during it. It's not like the most exciting topic, but so much stuff gets thrown away. So much. And we live in that country. Number one, we throw it away. That's why storage facilities is the fastest growing real estate business in America, because people got junk to store away. That couch that you got 30 years ago, you need to pay $200 a month to store that away, right? It's like, come on, guys. So, because I just hear all the time, like, I can't find inventory. Where is it? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's out there. We're maybe just looking in the wrong places.
So yeah, I actually have a storage unit, and my storage unit neighbor for a long time, super nice guy. I just run into him when I was there, and he was actually a doctor, and he just had that thing 100% full of stuff. And I would just ask questions about it. And honestly, I would buy stuff from him from time to time, not because I was intentionally going there to source, but that's just the level of overabundance that we have in the country. He literally had a bin, a complete storage bin full of all of his kids' shoes that they had outgrown. And he had like 4 kids. I bought some kids' Jordans from him. I bought some kids' Ugg boots from him. And I mean, of course, this is just like a very random thing. Can't build a business around it, but it's just a true example of the amount of excess that we live in. And if you can find the little pockets to put yourself in the right place in front of the right person, that stuff is there.
Mm-hmm. Are you a reseller looking to make extra money? Well, we are expanding our wholesale team and we are hiring. We buy thousands of pieces of clothing every week, and right now we have 31 people on our wholesale team. If you are looking to double your money quick and you shop at places like the Goodwill bins, thrift stores, flea markets, yard sales, we're going to be able to work together. We provide you with a brand list of over 300 brands, and right now we are buying thousands of pieces of inventory every week. So if you're wanting to make some extra money, book a call down below, getpaidtosource.com. We'll get you onboarded and we'll start putting some extra money in your pocket. Yeah, if you just do a little YouTube browsing, there's companies like junk removal services that are making millions of dollars a year, um, because they're just picking up junk, and it's like they're getting paid to do it. Now, that next step of like, are they taking, probably most of it's going to the junkyard, right? But there's probably a system in there where they're processing and extracting whatever's valuable out of it, and then, reselling it, right? So it is a
Hmm.
form of reselling. Same thing with like cars, people go through cars, cell phones, so there's a massive amount of so-called junk, but it's like that common saying, one man's junk is another person's treasure, and that's like our, mission statement for resellers.
Yeah.
Like, just like what you said, is like our responsibility is to know what people call junk and turn that into money, cash money, right? And especially when it comes to clothing, it's very like meticulous navigating all the little details of what can make something valuable. And we'll get into that later, but yeah, I love hearing your thoughts on it. I think everyone has a pretty general positive perspective when it comes to like the opportunities when it comes to reselling. I've never brought on someone on here where it's like, yeah, it's over. I'm gonna go, do this. Where, there's tons of opportunities if you're an entrepreneur out there, but I still see reselling is like abundantly in the growth mode, here for the next 10 years, 20 years, just because of the waste. Um,
One thing I noticed from the guests that you've had on
Go ahead.
is that it sounds like a lot of people started either right before or right after, kind of during that time when the world was in like total chaos for a hot minute there. And I think that if you started during that time and you're comparing now to that time, I think that might be one of the reasons for the kind of negative, kind of a looming feeling that I sense throughout my comment section in my videos and the conversations I have in my DMs, from people that are feeling a bit discouraged. And I even think, when I look back to, pictures and stuff before I even posted on social media, that I took of my reselling journey, I look at the things that I was picking up, and it did seem like the bar was pretty low. There weren't as many resellers, and there were so many buyers because stores were closed, and people got used to this idea of, I just click online and it shows up at my door, and all those things created the perfect storm. I remember filling carts and carts and carts at local thrift stores and selling the most random items that I would never in 100 years pick up, knowing what I know now and knowing the market now. But I think that, when you are in that, you get set in your ways. You get a little comfortable with, hey, I can buy anything North Face or Eddie Bauer, and that sells so fast for me. I can buy, anything, even if it has flaws or stains or rips, because there's just so much demand on the online market. And I think that, just created a little bit of a crutch. For me, it was very welcome because I was brand new to it. But if you've been doing it for a long time, you might have sensed, hey, this is getting easier. Or if you're just starting, you're like, oh, this isn't so difficult. And what I realize is that to be the top 1%, to be really excellent at what we do, it actually takes a ton of knowledge, a ton of research, a ton of hard work, a ton of dedication, a ton of consistency, all the things you guys have been talking about in these recent episodes. And if you do all those things, it's still very, very, very available. But if you want to go to your nearest thrift store to you, not drive to the next one or drive to the one suburb over from your suburb, those days are probably gone. But for the grinders and the hustlers and the people out there willing to just make it work, I think it's just as good.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of built like a conditioning, like we get used to a certain way of how it was, and you think that that's going to be how it is forever. And yeah, I started like late 2020, early 2021, so I kind of caught the tail end of that rush, but yeah, it was interesting because a lot of people that came in right in 2020, they're like, this is how it is. It's so easy. Just go to a couple thrift stores, flip whatever. and it's really tough because you got to pivot. And now, especially, 4 years later after that, it's very much competitive, more than it's ever been, I feel like. Well, at least in my short reselling career. But I had seen, like, just over the last year, the li the lines at the thrift store are shorter and shorter. I don't know if that's because it's winter and it's kind of cold out, no one wants to wait outside, but I'm it's crazy. Like, I'll go to the red, white, and blue thrift store here, usually every Wednesday. I haven't in a while, but I went recently, and I'm like, I'm the only person in the jacket section. Like, nobody is near me, and this is the discount day. I just thought that was strange, and I was like, well, maybe people are taking a break. It's the holidays. I don't know, but definitely, like, just within the last maybe year, I've seen, not much more competition, but maybe even a little less. And you're right, it takes like a grind, like persevere. It's not easy. Running any business is not easy, but I think, like, when it comes to reselling, you gotta have that grit. You gotta have the grit to make it work. It's not as easy as picking up like an Eddie Bauer, like you said, and flip it. Now you gotta know what kind of Eddie Bauer and what size to pick up. Because if you
Talk about it, the Eddie Bauer. That's one of my favorite brands now.
well, I mean, there is the first.
Levels still.
Yeah, the Travix, the first Ascent, I think they have a Weather Edge, or is that Columbia? I don't know, but there's certain models and certain brands. But yeah, so I love that. And so you've been absolutely crushing it. I've seen your stories on Instagram, package after package. What is the year goal? Are you hitting the goal? Was there a certain number that you wanted to hit this year? Like, maybe compared to last year? Give us a sneak peek what that looked like.
Yeah, I felt like so it's 2024 now. So 2023, I had a really good year. That was my second year doing full-time reselling for the entire year. Now this is my third year, 2024, being full-time for the entire year. And my goal going into the year was to profit $100,000 reselling. And I am projecting to be just short of that goal. But of course, being close to your goal, if you set a high goal, still cannot be a total failure. And I'll be honest about that. But I think for me, one of the factors that played into that equation is that I didn't really know what the next step forward was for my business going into this year. And I think I talked about that in the last podcast as I was listening to it this morning. I kind of came into the year, I did really well last year. And I was thinking, what's the next step for me? And to be completely honest, just, being out here transparent, I never really changed anything this year. I just kind of stayed on the course. But I will say it was not all for nothing. What I did was I actually got a lot more efficient at just doing the exact same thing. So my margins are actually in significantly better than last year. So I did more net profit on a significantly less amount of sales, but even more so, I spent a lot less time reselling and was able to invest some extra time into building a following on social media and treated that like my side hustle. And then it kind of formed into part of my actual 40 hours per week that I try to work. So I probably, last time we talked, I said I worked about 35 hours a week on reselling. Because I stayed focused on the same thing and didn't change, I was able to get that down probably between 25 and 30 hours a week while increasing my margins and keeping a similar gross sales. So to me, that still is increasing my dollar per hour, which is really important to me that's one of the things that I track. And then it allowed me to work on something else to create other income streams. And, that's, how I kind of chose the scale instead of reselling more items. What other business can I add just to diversify a little bit?
Yeah, I love that. And that was talked about a little bit in the last podcast, but it was really bringing up the difference between, like, sharpening your skills as you just keep getting better. Like shooting the free throw a million times, you're just going to get better. And that's really cool to hear because you see it correlate in your data. Now you're making more money in a less amount of time. That's amazing. That is the beautiful part of reselling because no one is a genius to start it off, especially when it comes to clothing. Like I am still learning. There's brands that I have no idea about. And it's really cool because once you start sharpening the skills, you might not see it right away, but over year data, you can say, hey, my ASP went up $5 extra per item, and I could sell now less items and make, the same or more money. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if you're a clothing reseller and you're watching this, it's overwhelming to the amount of different brands and styles and all the little intricate details with clothing. But just knowing and just talking to Caleb is like, as you get going year over year, you're only gonna get better, you know. So that's a beautiful thing. I love that. So, sharpen the skills, sharpen the axe, you'll see the end result. And now you're adding in a few other little business ventures on the side to grow those. So I love that. I think everyone should. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. The opportunity is now. So I love that. I'll put all his links down below. You guys could go follow Caleb. So what are some new things or ideas you've learned this year specifically to help grow your resale business? Was there anything like, oh, I'll start picking up women's clothing, which I don't think you do, but was there something like that idea to help you kind of increase your profits?
Yeah, well, last year my numbers reflected a decent amount of online and retail arbitrage. And, if you're mainly thrifting and checking out the podcast, that's just going to a retail store or purchasing from an online store, directly from them, getting it either shipped to you or picking it up at the store, and then just turning around and selling it back online. And when you do that, your cost of goods is going to be higher because typically new inventory is going to cost more than your used thrifted inventory. um, and so a lot of those numbers from 2023 were inflated because I was paying up for those items and then selling those for higher amounts of money, which is totally fine. I still do retail and online arbitrage. I still think that is a very, very viable way of making money. I just realized that if I spent less money but could make the same amount of money, or more dollars per item that I sell going back into my pocket with less risk from spending more money from the newer items, I just felt like I really appreciated having that less risky model and a higher cash flow model because I do have a very fast selling store. So, getting that money back into my business and being able to spend that money and having more cash on hand if I were to make a business change or try to increase my listings. And that's kind of what I was planning for, but I never ended up doing it. But my goal was I'm going to need cash on hand if I want to go from 15 listings per day to 30 listings per day. I can't really go out and spend $50 per pair of shoes. Sorry, I talk with my hands and it's like going off the screen here. uh, $50 per pair of shoes. If I'm going to up that by double the amount of listings, I'm going to run out of money very quickly. And so that's why I went to a less cash invested model, because if I wanted to say double my listings, which was one of my potential ideas that I kind of threw around with myself at the beginning of the year, I'm going to need cash on hand to buy double the amount of inventory. But what I did instead was just ended up sticking the same, but keeping that cash flow really high in my business and being ready for whatever that next business move is.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, so just like for people that don't know, like your store and your business model, like how many listings do you have? What is producing that close to that six-figure mark? And like how many sales a day? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I currently have about 1,100 listings, and I currently have sold. Let's see, I have it pulled up on my screen over here. 1,500 items in the last 90 days on eBay, plus probably another 300 or so on Poshmark. So 1,100 listings and about somewhere between 1,700 and 1,800 items sold in 90 days. Mainly men's clothing is my, that's my main category. I do sell like what I call men's adjacent women's clothing. So like a women's Patagonia jacket, it doesn't take any additional knowledge or skill to identify, acquire, or whatever that item. So I just kind of, it's basically like men's clothing to me, but it is just happens to be women's clothing. It's not any more intricate or nuanced than that. And then I do sell some seasonal items towards the end of the year, mainly like Christmas decorations is probably like the easiest one to pinpoint. I just learned that over the years from some other resellers. And once you kind of know what you're doing, I started eliminating the things that were really difficult to ship and eliminating the things that took a lot of time and just kind of cherry picked the very like lowest hanging fruit, very easy, the highest margins for that little tiny section of my business.
Yeah, it's a very optimized store metrics wise. That is a beautiful place to be. So, what would you say is something that you look for I mean, obviously sell through rate, but everyone's metrics are different. What is something that you're going to be like, it needs to be showing these numbers for me to pick it up? Because those are some great metrics for sell through rate on your store. Talk us through that process. Are you like, if it's 10% sell through rate, you're probably going to leave it behind, or some people have different, long-term goals for an item like that. Just touch on that. What is a good item for you in your eyes?
Yeah, if somebody asked me and they were just starting, I would say stick to 100% sell through rate items. That's going to be something that is proven to sell. If you're established, for me, 60% sell through rate is over 100% sell through rate in my store because of the business practices that I've, learned over the years. So when I see 50 to 60%, that is basically the equivalent of 100% just based on my own metric. So I try to stick to that number. And as you can see, like if I was picking up only that number, then I would have about 100% sell through, but I'm having more than that. So most of the items I pick up are significantly better than that, but I would still happily pick up, 50 to 60% sell through rate item, especially if it's something that sells for a lot of money or I'm picking it up super cheap on a discount day, or, there's so many nuanced factors that go into it. But if I just had to give someone that's already established and they have extremely good pictures, extremely good listings, good keywords, good business policies, all those things, I would say if you're picking up 50% and above, you can definitely do some damage with that.
Yeah, it's like the big three, title, photos, price, and that a lot of people don't factor in if you're a top seller like yourself. And you're wanting to be a top seller. This is when you're looking at sell through rate, you're taking the broad sellers, you're taking everyone, even the feet in the photo picture guy selling the Patagonia in his balcony. It's like that.
Yeah.
Added to the equation. That you're not going to be putting your feet in the photos. And you do really good photos. I see you're doing the different angles and stuff. So like if you can get that title, optimize the pricing, which I think a lot of people have a hard time figuring out market pricing. You will now, and probably for people that are just starting out, they're like, why is 60 equal 100? It's because he's accounting for his photos, the title, the pricing, which is going to elevate it, above the rest, of the other sellers.
And
Is there a
also,
rate? Oh, go ahead.
your price does affect the sell through rate as well. If you have an item that is 100% sell through rate and you price $10 under the market value, I would be surprised if your item lasted 2 days on the market. And if you have a 50% sell through rate item and you price it $10, I'm not suggesting you do this. I'm just saying if you were to price $10 under the market value, that's going to sell probably in less than the 90 days, or in less than the 6 months if it was 50% sell through rate. Um, and then another thing that factors into my personal sell through rate is once items have been in my store for about 6 months or so, I do start to discount those items pretty significantly. And I'm also very willing to accept offers, especially on older items, but even on newer items. As I said, I'm just in the business of turning profit and keeping that cash back in my pocket and working for me instead of just sitting in my storage unit. And so a lot of people get very, very um, emotionally invested with offers. And that's one of my strengths, is not being emotionally invested to my items or to offers or to the mind games that people play. I see a lot of posts on social media, like somebody offers $1 less and they decline out of spite. And I'm like, hey, if they need that $1 off for me to get this done, more power to you. And I'm just going to accept it, and I'm not going to let it affect me mentally or slow me down at all. I'm just happy for the sale, and I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. It's like a mindset thing, right? Like and I was just speaking to someone else on the podcast that it's like a prideful way of thinking. Like, I need that extra dollar, or just like give them a deal and move on to the next item. Especially, for the most part, we sell pretty common clothes. I mean, you find a CC Filson and an Arc'teryx every now and then, but for the most part, the LL Beans of the world and, Nike joggers and things like that. It's like I could walk out by the goats in the farmland and find probably some Nike apparel here in Oregon. So, yeah, I love that. Is there a specific pricing strategy? Say you find 100% sell-through rate item. For me in my business, I always like to at least price at the market or more because it's so in demand. Do you do something similar, or are you just like, I need this thing gone? How does the pricing look for an item that's so much in demand?
Yeah, an item in demand, I actually price over market. And based on my numbers, you might not think that, I'm pricing anything high. I really do go by, if it's 100% sell through rate, I want to price high because I know there's people that are willing to pay up for that item, especially if the condition's right, especially because I know my photos are going to be good and my listing's going to be good. If there's a model name for that item, I'm going to dig and I'm going to find it and put it in the title. And they're going to be like, wow, that's the exact model that I saw at REI for $255. Just those little things. I don't mind pricing high. And that being said, I know that I'm going to send 10% offers to anybody that likes or watches my items. I'm going to probably accept up to 25% off on an offer if somebody sends it to me, even if it is a good item. Because if you don't sell it at that moment, you have to wait for a completely different person, a completely different interaction, a completely other search result for you to show and populate to sell your item. And so, factoring in all those things, I don't mind pricing high, but I do know that all those things are going to eventually at some point, lower the price if I am too high. But hopefully I can get that full price sale every now and then. And that's just a few extra bucks in my pocket.
Yeah, especially if it's 100% sell-through rate. It's like, those aren't everywhere. So it's like, it's better to start it a little higher than the vice versa, right? No, I love it. I love it. Wait a minute. Are you tracking your numbers? If you're not tracking your numbers, how do you know you're actually profitable in your business? Too many times I see a lot of beginner resellers not tracking their numbers, and they think they're profitable on items that they sell, but in actuality, they are losing thousands of dollars, which is why I'm offering, a link down below, a free reseller spreadsheet to help you start to build a good foundation for your resale business. I'll go over it real quick. You can download it below. Really simple to use, but it's going to help you go further faster in your resale business. A thing that often is said in business is what can be tracked can be measured, and what can be measured can be improved upon, which is why this spreadsheet is going to help you, especially if you're just starting out. Follow the instructions. You have an inventory SKU spreadsheet. You got month by month, line by line accounting, and at the end of the day, you could track your year-to-date sales. I did this because I just see so many people thinking that they're profitable in their business when they're actually not. So now back to the episode. Everyone's strategy is different, right? So you're walking into a thrift store. Where do you go first and why?
So at my favorite thrift store, I don't look at socks. I probably, maybe there's some banger socks out there. I'm sure there are. Maybe like vintage sealed packs of socks, kind of like vintage sealed underwear is like a bolo. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Could be. So at the thrift store that I frequent the most often, it is actually a for-profit thrift store. I know you mentioned red, white, and blue. It's a similar structure to that, where they do take donations, but they also purchase a majority of their inventory, and they're just trying to make as much money as they can, just like us. They're just resellers. They're just,
Yeah.
a different link in the chain. And at this store, they actually pull a lot of good items and put them in a specific section. And so I do check out that first, obviously. That being said, I don't get very many items from that section because the pricing is either too high or completely unreasonable. And that's more power to them because they actually do the research and they price at what slightly below what they sell for on eBay, and they do actually know how to look things up on eBay properly, not just what they're listed for but what they sell for. And so I actually made a reel about finding some overpriced Carhartts at the thrift store yesterday, just because I thought it was kind of funny, because I like to hear what people's thoughts are, because I'm personally not offended. If they can get $80 for that Carhartt jacket, then they should, because they're in business, and the longer they're in business and the more money that they make, the more inventory they're purchasing and helping my business. So I'm not, once again, I'm not emotional about the pricing at the thrift store. But that being said, of course, that does price me out of a lot of items because I'm trying to turn a profit. And another nice thing that they do is that if the items go through a certain amount of weeks and don't sell at that price, they do lower the price because they don't want to store those items as well. And so I respect that about them. Go ahead and shoot your shot. If it doesn't sell, I'll be there when they lower the price. It's kind of my thought. Yep. After that, I definitely go straight to jackets this time of year. I just live and breathe the jacket lifestyle in Ohio this time of year. I've had so many good jacket sales that just like can turn a mediocre or bad sales day around in one sale. So I definitely want to be the first one to go through that section. So I run over to that other place. I whip through there real quick, take a quick video of the Carhartt jackets for Instagram, and then I sprint over to the regular jacket section and I start digging there.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Same here. Jackets, I just, even in the summertime, is just less competition, but just more profit potential, I think, like versus don't get me wrong, t-shirts, you can make a lot of money with t-shirts. I'm not specifically running to the graphic tees. I don't even really know too much about vintage anyway, so it's like, but I know more about jackets than I do vintage t-shirts, so I'm going to run to where I'm the most like knowledgeable and I can make the most money.
Yeah, when people like ask me about my business and stuff, like one of the things I tell them, like when they ask me in fall and winter, I say, like, think about your favorite brands that you buy for yourself. Say it's somebody like me that likes Patagonia. You can go get a brand new pair of Patagonia shorts from Dick's for $49 or $59, and that's still like a pretty expensive pair of shorts in my opinion. But if you want to go buy any jacket new with tags, it's probably 200 plus. Maybe they have some lower end models that are under 200. And so just think about that translated across your entire business. The items that retail for more are going to slowly trickle down to the resale value of being higher than an item that starts at $49. Because you can't sell a used item for what they sell for new. So you're already down to, let's say it's an amazing, amazing, amazing brand. The best case scenario for some Patagonia shorts, unless you have something rare, of course, is probably $39. And I don't think that you could even sell them for that. But let's just say that you could. It's an amazing item. You could sell it for $39. Well, say their jacket retails for $399. If you use that same kind of scale, we're talking you're selling that jacket for $300. They're saving $100, which is a significant savings. And you're making infinitely more than on your pair of shorts. And so that's just translated across your entire business in the winter when you're a clothing seller. And so focusing on those more expensive retail items within the categories is going to trickle down to the used categories as well.
And like you're factoring your time too, because it almost takes the same amount of time. because you're still wheeling the cart around looking for stuff. So I was like, I'm going to go to the more profitable stuff for me in my business, which is like jackets, jeans, and then I'll head to the women's. I'll start at the men's section first, and then I'll go to the women's jackets, jeans, and then I'll go back to the men's sweaters, women's sweaters, and then after that, then I do the button-ups last. But everyone's different. So, yeah, I love that. I love it. So very good. So now I'm a very vision casting type of person. We're trying to figure out, well, what's some good goals for next year? What about you? You said you were kind of repeating the process. You didn't change much in your business this year versus 2023. Is there big changes ahead for your business next year? I know you're listing, I think 15 or 18 a day. Or is it just the same thing? Keep going.
All this time since the last podcast, and I honestly, I am really good in the day to day, and vision stuff is definitely my weakness as an entrepreneur, which sounds kind of counterintuitive because a lot of great entrepreneurs have the vision and then they need help, getting the execution. And I am just a doer. I'm a doer. I can do. And I need a little bit of help with the vision. Thankfully for me, my wife is amazing visionary. She has great ideas. So I love collaborating with her for what the future holds. We are expecting a child in February. So I'm trying to not bother her with the vision casting for my business. I'm just trying to make sure those bills are paid and those bellies are full right now. But I will say, like, this year has really set me up for whatever the next move is. I'll give you guys maybe 3 ways that I plan to potentially increase my business, and then maybe you guys can weigh in the comments. Let me know what's your advice. You guys are some smart, hardworking people out there.
The most comments on that idea, Caleb has to do.
I have to, yeah. Lemonade stand. If it's approved by my wife, so there we go. There's my fail safe. Anyway, the first thing that I could do is, with this extra, capital that I've been accumulating and getting my skills and processes down, I could just go buy and list and sell more items. I know how to sell items quickly. I really believe that, of course, my sell-through rate would go down if I were to increase, because I'd probably have to lower my standard of what I'm picking up slightly, because I do really try to only pick up amazing items. But being that I'm at 1,100 listed and 1,800 sold, I have a lot of room there to increase while keeping a really strong cash flow in my business. One way that I, could do that is, I've been dabbling a little bit with having some VAs list some of my items, just as kind of like a test to see if I want to go that route, because I do believe that one of the secrets to my success is just having as good of a listing as you can have. I won't say they're the best listings on eBay or anything, but I do actually take intentional time. I spend 2 minutes roughly per listing. I know you can do them faster, but I don't know if you can do them faster and better. And so sacrificing maybe a little bit of the quality to get a little bit of my time back, that is one option. And then also combining that with finding somebody to take some photos for me, so that I can just spend a lot more time acquiring those high-end, really great items. One other option that I kind of want to hear your opinion on, Bo, I see you jumping into the whatnot realm, and I've seen that you've been pulling some great numbers and doing really well over there. So that is something that has really been on my mind for about a year. I know I'm kind of a slow mover. I kind of like to think things through. I'm a over analyzer. And I've been thinking about it for quite a while, and I'm definitely open to trying it out. It definitely would be putting me out of my comfort zone, but some of the best growth comes from coming out of our comfort zone. So I'm definitely up for the challenge if I feel like that's the right move for me. And then the third thing that will definitely be part of it, but it depends to what extent, is really diving deeper into this social media world and trying to really bolster the income that you can receive from being on social media. I'm sure that everybody watching this has an idea of what they think that their favorite YouTuber reseller makes. And I will tell you, there are some people that absolutely kill it. and the most of us are doing it for other reasons.
Yeah.
I definitely made profit from being a social media, person this year, but I definitely made significantly less dollars per hour doing anything social media or content related than just selling more items. If I would have resold for 40 hours a week, I would have hit my goal. I would have made more money, but I can't discredit the amazing community that I have. I can't discredit the relationships that I've made, people even running into me in thrift stores, and just seeing a familiar face gives them the confidence to introduce themselves, and we start a friendship. I had mentioned this multiple times on my video, but in my videos, but even yesterday, I have a friend that's at the thrift store, and he is extremely knowledgeable with designer, high end apparel, accessories, all that stuff. First of all, if I find something like that, I should send him pictures and he could help me authenticate it. Second of all, when he finds bread and butter that he knows that I love and sell all the time, he'll most of the times at the thrift store, he'll just swing by my cart and just hand me like 3 random items. And they're always things that I would automatically pick up from, just my experience or knowing what those items are. And so just those little things that social media has, just putting myself out there has opened up for me. I don't want to discredit that at all because that is super valuable. And it's also very life giving for me. Just connecting with others, helping others is a huge passion of mine. Teaching is a passion of mine. So there's more than just the financial implications for doing it. But it does take a lot of hard work and a lot of consistency and a lot of dedication if you do want to make it a significant income. And even with all the, growth that I've seen this year, I'm very grateful for it. It still is not making me as much as reselling. So I'd have to really push hard for that scale to even out, which I'm also willing to do. So those are kind of the three things that I think about. So just to recap, just listing and selling more stuff, investing more in social media, or maybe trying to add in live selling as a way to, increase my volume even more to see what we could do there.
Yeah. Man, so many good stuff to unpack there. And yeah, I love the principle. I feel like we all go through this step when we're an entrepreneur of what to do next to get some of our time back, to leverage our time into more money-making activities, because I think everyone needs to start out doing their own listings, doing their own photos, so you can learn how the system works. But I think the next step to really take it to the next level with whatever you're trying to do is to then now hire some of those processes out. I think every entrepreneur should do it for as long as they can until they burn out, or until they're ready to burn out. Because you
Right
can,
before, right
right?
before.
Yeah, because you can maximize the money coming into your business. Doesn't make sense to hire a shipper if you're only shipping one item a day, but when you maximize it and you're like, okay, I'm shipping 100 items a day, I need to hire a shipper. So then I can take my time that I spend shipping to do maybe more sourcing or higher income activities. And I think everyone kind of runs into that process where they're like at a point in their business. They're like, okay, I'm doing the listings, I'm doing the photos, I'm doing the sourcing. How can I hire out maybe some of those more systemized tasks to then now put more into sourcing or whatever it may be? In my opinion, I think sourcing is the lever for how successful you're going to be as a reseller. Because if you suck at sourcing and you're bad at it, but you're really good at doing everything else, it's like, but you got a bad product,
Yeah.
and it's like, so focus on getting good stuff. And so I love that I think you should take action on those. Absolutely. And at least try them. I think everyone needs to try stuff because if you go back on my channel, I was hating on live selling. And now I love it. It's my favorite thing. And so,
Yeah.
and then another point too is I really do believe you should try live selling. I have all the opinions in the world on why it wouldn't work. I think anyone that's on social media, even if you're not even in the reselling niche, should live sell because you're connecting with your community. If you look at other people, just bigger names in the niche, Harry Tornado, Kevin Commonwealth, Picker, you got Philly Flipper, all the whatever people with bigger audiences, they could buy a remote from nowhere and sells for $50, and they go, oh, that's Philly Flipper, touch that, it's amazing. Same thing with Harry Tornado or any of them. Once you start getting that audience, you could start providing things for people that are probably already going to buy anyways, and they're like, well, I'm supporting my the person that I love to watch or whatever. So anytime I think you have an audience, get them somewhere else. That's just my belief. You're building that community. People love you. They watch your content. They really resonate with your values. So why not do other than just YouTube? So
So before you go into the next question,
yeah.
I want you to pretend that so just to make this a little more relatable. Now, I do believe that if I were to jump on Whatnot, I would have a little bit of a head start because I have, a few thousand people that I could, promote to. But let's just pretend that I don't even have that. Give me your step-by-step blueprint for somebody that wants to start their next live selling journey. What would you like because you've made it past that initial stage. So I definitely commend you for that, because the initial stage, you're feeling it out. You're learning so many things. You're trying to figure out which way is up in this new world. What would be the blueprint from, somebody that has a little bit of experience to get started and to get past that initial phase of figuring it out and to create a little bit of success on Whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very simple, but very hard to do. Like, simple in what to do, but how to do is very hard. And just, I've only been on Whatnot for 5 months, so don't, just take it all with, different point of view, whatever. But, yeah, so from what I've learned just in 5 months doing, 2 shows a day, it actually goes back to a book that I'm reading. We'll even start it off with that, is you got to know who you are and what you want before you start anything. Know who you are. Who am I? And what do you want? Because people will see all the people making money on Whatnot, and then they'll burn out when they have a bad sales day because they don't know who they are and what they want. So know who you are. Who am I? Who is Caleb? Okay, I am this. I'm going to provide this for people. This is what I'm going to do. And what do you want? What do you want it to turn into? So answer those questions before you start anything. The best first foot forward, getting going with live selling, find amazing items and sell them at an amazing price. That's it. With all the big Whatnot sellers, Katie Co., ZK Styles, you got Daily Refinement, you got all these 7-8 figure sellers on Whatnot. They're finding amazing stuff and selling it at amazing prices. And that's what people are addicted to. They're like, I found a $500 dress and I got it for $33. Whether you're going to resell it or keep it, that's unreal. So if you can buy a pallet of On Clouds and run them all at $1, that's going to bring in people. And I would say that's the number one principle, is just find good items, sell them for a good price. I also recommend, because you see the dollar starts everywhere, don't think you need to do dollar starts. I mean, it's maybe great to like drum up business and get people to follow you, but unless you got money saved up, you're going to lose money. You will lose money. I still lose money on some of the items that we sell in our show. We sold a Laurel Piana blazer for $21. It sells for $2,000. I think I paid $40 for it. So there's things that are just like, you're going to lose money. But I recommend don't start things below your cost, because that will discourage you. It's really, it's hard because you're like trying to keep a good face and you're like, I paid $5 for this. I just got paid $3. You do that 100 times in a show. It's like getting kicked in the head, so, start at a price that you can make money, and then also find the best items and run them, for a good price. I still think, like, if you got, like, K-Way Shop, okay, he's a great example. He finds amazing stuff. He gets amazing items. He starts at $10 for a Patagonia North Face jacket. $10 for a Patagonia jacket is still really good price. So,
Yeah.
So if you could focus on the good stuff, there's people that do good running lower end stuff. I just don't think I want to like do that. I want to try to find like the best stuff I can and give it at a good price. That's just the 5 months of experience. My shows with junk in them are going to perform terrible. The stuff with good stuff is going to perform great. So, That's just what I've learned. I think everyone should do it. I can't wait to start. I'm gonna see it next in January next year, or maybe after the baby. We'll see you live selling. We'll see you live selling.
I think it's
So
definitely worth a try. I mean, you see so many people having success, and I really think what's cool about it is there's a whole new set of community people to potentially add to your community that's not going to be on YouTube, that's not going to be on Instagram, that doesn't watch TikToks. There's it's just a whole new community of people, and people that you connect with are going to connect with you through your show and through being on camera and through your personality and how you speak with people and how you present yourself on camera. And I think that's one thing that's just been really fun for me over the last year. I just crossed a year in a few days being on YouTube. It's pretty cool to see how many people, um, you know, can resonate with me as a person and I resonate back with them. Just, putting myself out there a little bit. And I think that's just one more layer to it. You are selling stuff, but it's just another level and layer of what I'm, already doing.
yeah, the biggest, I think it was last year, but authenticity and being genuine. People will go to a Nike store to buy their favorite shoes, but I think people will want to buy them even more so with a person like yourself because they're like, I know Caleb. I've ran into him at the thrift store. I'm going to go support him. He's selling the same Nike shoes. They're much more going to love the genuine and authentic personality that you have. They're going to love that rather than supporting like a big conglomerate corporation. So I really see like the brand straight to the consumer being much more like the personal brand versus like people, the big brand thing is like hard to put a name to the face. So I think like there's some, you know kind of authentic, community part of it where people like really want to just support people because they like you. People do business with people who they know, like, and trust, right? That's it. you know I don't selling me the shoes at Nike. I have no idea. Um, no, I love that. I love it. Well, I learned a lot there. I mean, live selling's blowing up. And I try to ask that question to all the other resellers, just like thoughts. It's not for everybody, for sure. It's not for everybody. Another thing I meant to mention actually was, um, businesses have the products in front of you because of marketing. So you asked that question. I don't even think I answered it. Was like, how do you get people into your show if you don't have a YouTube or social media following? If you can market the product and you get good products, that's the key, y'all. Marketing, K-Way Shop does a great job at this, but like making it known to people while you're running, that's it. Like we pay for promoted listings, right? That's marketing. So it's like, and you don't expect for items to sell if you don't ever mention it. So it's like, and I'm not talking being spammy, but like maybe start getting an email list going, or heck, even go to your local church and say, hey, I'm running brand new on clouds for $10. Well, this new app, come and join the show. So it starts with like the good product, but also make it known that you're running the good product. So, um, no, I
Well, I
want to,
think where you started was a great thing too, because it's like you need to know what you want to do, who you are, and what your goal is on the platform. Do you want to give people the best deals possible? Do you want to bring items that people have never seen before? All these different, you want to have what you really present as a seller. And so this is for you out there. If you're watching this podcast and you're thinking about live selling, I'm nervous too. I'm nervous too. It's okay. We can be nervous together. But Bo, I just want to commend him for pushing through that initial, thing of just figuring things out. And if you want to try it and you really see yourself in the future as being a successful live seller or reseller or whatever you want to do, if you really see yourself doing it and you can see the path to success, I want to encourage you. We're coming up on the new year. It's a great time to start something new and actually do it. I don't know if we mentioned this like last time I was on the podcast, but when I first started, I ran across some YouTube videos which kind of introduced me to the idea. But I genuinely just mulled over the idea of listing something on eBay for over 6 months. Like I could have had a 6-month head start on this whole entire thing if I just took the plunge to list something because I was afraid if it sells, how do I ship something? What am I going to do? I don't know how to ship something.
Yep.
And you don't really know how to do anything until you do it. But there's usually time, there's usually resources, there's usually a YouTube video about it, there's usually somebody you can ask,
Yep.
there's usually grace if you do mess up.
Yep.
So I want to encourage anybody that's on the fence of either reselling or live selling to just, or social media, just try something, do something, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. The future is now. The future is now. And it's like the, I know it's kind of a cheesy saying, but it really is. Like there's an opportunity right now in a lot of different spaces to make a lot of money, and you don't know what you're capable of until you try it. Because I had, I think, 7 different reasons why I'm like, yeah, I'm not live selling. I don't want to sell women's clothes. I don't even want to talk. YouTube's enough. And it's like, wow, it ended up being actually really fun. It's so different than listing on eBay. It's like, you're taking, your keyword knowledge and your knowledge about clothing, and then you're like, explaining it to a person that might be interested. It's totally different, blew my mind. And I think everyone should try it, especially if you are already on social media. So you went over plans for social media. You actually answered a lot of the questions coming up. So that's all, folks. No, no, it's good. It's good because I don't want to go, too much over your an hour or so. But and this is a good question because we learn a lot along the way of reselling. If we're starting over, but you know what you know now, and you have $1,000, where is that money being allocated if you're starting a resale business, and why?
Well, it definitely depends on your area. I mean, right now there's snow coming down outside, looking out the window, so there's no garage sales right now. So your best bet sourcing around here is a thrift store, even the flea market. You really only have those indoor vendors that just have their stuff in there 24/7. And it's not really like a flea market vibe. It's more just like a, boutique store vibe. So you really are left to the thrift stores. So what I would do is, of course, I would try to boost that $1,000 by adding in maybe some of your own items that you're not using anymore and list those online for sale. But a little more, maybe advanced than that is, I think I mentioned this earlier, I would really figure out how to calculate sell-through rate on eBay, and I would only buy items over 100% sell-through rate. I would list at market value and be willing to accept even under market value to get the ball rolling, to get some feedback on your account, to get some cash flow moving. If you're buying these over 100% sell-through rate items, from my experience, the items that have over 100% sell-through rate typically also have better sales prices because they're just good items. And so, assuming that you're getting them at a reasonable price at the thrift store, sticking with that model at the beginning is going to build your capital the fastest. Sniping items on Facebook Marketplace is another thing that I did when I first started out. Somebody selling, like some mom selling their son's Wii that moved out of the house 10 years ago, for $20, and it has a bunch of games with it. Little, a golf club set, they're selling the whole set for 200, but just the driver sells for 200 and the bag sells for 100 and the iron set sells for 200. Whatever you kind of know about already. I grew up playing video games, so I knew enough to be dangerous. I am still, but at that time I was getting into golf, so I was researching all the brands and all that stuff. So that was interesting to me. So I was looking at golf clubs on Facebook, and you can spot those little, pockets of uh, value there, and use those little high end, high sell-through rate, high margin flips to build a little bit of a bankroll before you start trying to source 100 items a week or even 50 items a week. Just be thoughtful in the beginning, stay scrappy. I think that's a Phoenix resale quote. But definitely want to just make sure that you're not over investing yourself so early. I used to go nuts trying to get a white background on my photos. That's not even a thing anymore. Just find some good natural lighting. Go to the nearest window that's not in the direct sun in your house. Just indirect window light. a table that doesn't have junk on it, clear off your table, put your table in front of the window, and take a nice, clean, clear picture with nothing else in it. There's really, not too much more than you need in that.
Hmm. Yeah, I really do think like that sets you up for success the best chance possible by focusing. There's a lot of talk, and it's a great practice once you get going. But I think that if a person that wants to start a resale business, they hear a lot the listing every day aspect, list every day, list every day. So it kind of puts pressure on you where you're like, okay, I need to list every day, but then I'm not able to find the quality to list every day. And that's a common theme where people build up these big stores. Heck, I even did it myself because I wasn't able to get the quality right. And then you end up selling is not as much as, you're putting into it. So I love that best foot forward is that maybe it's not so much about listing every day to start because you're probably only going to find a handful of 100% sell-through rate items, whether it's like remotes or whatever you're selling. But it's more important to focus on that first. And then as you see the cash flow coming in, then you could start listing 1 item a day, 2 items a day. Once those sales start coming in, that's going to set you up for success versus vice versa, having a 58,000 item store and you sell 1 item a day. Yeah, I love that. I love it. And don't go out spending, and I actually talked to Ari about this, don't go spend $500 on a photography setup or the white background app. You don't need that, y'all. Just get going with what you got. Okay, well, I love that. We'll do this little last segment, pass it up or pick it up, and let me know your reasons why. Robert Graham, crazy pattern, extra large and above. They're charging $7. Are you passing it up or picking it up? And this is just all what you know. This is all the
Yeah.
details.
I'm calculating sell-through rate over on my other screen. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
good.
Yeah, Robert Graham still is a good brand if you pick and choose your spots and watch your buy cost. At my thrift store, they price those at 25, but they do go to a 50% off sale. So then they go down to 12.50, and then there's an additional 25% off that you can potentially get if you go on the right day. So I'm getting those for, let's say, $9 to $10. You're saying $7. I'll just go by, what I
Yeah.
what I see out there. And so at $9 to $10, I am sticking with any of them at new at tags, definite pickup. Any with limited edition, obviously definite pickup. It will say that under the Robert Graham embroidery on the neck if it's limited edition. Sometimes it will have like a number out of a number. If I think like a baseball card that has a certain number, that is sometimes embroidered like right here on the shirt. Like if you flipped it up.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah,
Um,
right. Yes, yes.
And then you said XL and above. So XL and above, crazy pattern with the flip cuff, definitely. Bonus points if it's paisley. Bonus points if it's an actual graphic of like an image, not just a pattern. I sold a non-limited edition, non-silk, just basic cotton, but it had, instead of a pattern, it had a picture of a martini glass with like the olive going in and the splash coming out was like the face of a woman or something. It was just so Robert Graham,
Yeah.
And it sold for $150 in a day, and it was
That's
not
awesome.
a good size. It was not, or actually, I think it was a good size, but either way, it wasn't limited edition. But there are still those out there. But yeah, the crazier the pattern, the better. $7. Even like as long as it had a flip cuff, XL or bigger, I'd pick it up for $7 though.
Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, what made me deter from a Robert Graham is like a plain color, small size. It's
Yeah,
just for in my experience that I think I've sold many of those for like $10. Just get them out of here, $11, and it's like a year later. Okay, good. I love that. So Peter Millar, what's your thoughts? It's a Peter Millar Crown Sport wool sweater. They're charging 10. Why are you picking it up or are you passing it?
Crown Sport wool sweater. Probably a pickup. That's one I would probably look up on the fly at $10. Um, the sweaters are kind of hit or miss with that brand, but the performance quarter zips and perform anything performancy, uh, you know, at $10, long sleeves, more of like a sweatery jacket kind of thing. Definite pickup for $10. Sweater, I'd have to look that up, but if I just went off my hunch, I'd probably still get it if it was a decent size and perfect condition, just because I sell so many of those similar items. I don't mind paying up a little bit. Even if I sell it for $25, I'm making my $10 and I'm getting out the door.
Right. And that's what you would, without looking it up, $25 ASP.
Without looking it up, I'd probably price at 30, be happy with a $25 offer. But there's so much nuance within Peter Millar that it could be a $50 sweater.
Right. Yeah, and something that I would pass up is like a Peter Millar cotton plain or even a plaid button up. That's not like the summer comfort. Even summer comfort's kind of like it's. I think there's just people catch on. There's so much supply, less demand, and but yeah, Peter Millar sweaters I've done well with, especially if they're cashmere or wool. Another one, a very common one, still sells well for me as Tommy Bahama. You're finding a Tommy Bahama silk 3XB with a crazy pattern. They're charging $10. Are you picking it up or passing it?
I definitely picked that up. 3XB is like anything XB and Tommy Bahama is pretty much a pickup under $10. The silk, even at $10, that's pretty much no brainer.
Okay, how about this one? I think you've come across this recently. A Faded Glory chore coat, $20. Are you picking it up or not?
$20. Oh. Okay, I'm currently running an experiment in my own store. It's not very scientific, but I'm trying to see how bad of a brand of a chore jacket can I sell for $40. And Faded Glory is one that I picked up recently. I looked it up. Surprisingly, there's some good comps. If you put in Faded Glory into the title, sell-through rate is not showing great. So one thing that I did, here's a little high-level eBay nuance. I haven't sold that one yet, but I sold another brand that's not good at all called American Living. I'm sure you guys have all seen it out there.
Yeah.
I picked up a canvas chore jacket, and instead of putting American Living chore jacket, I did not even put American Living in the title. I just used more words for keywords, more characters for keywords. I put vintage canvas chore jacket, men's blah blah blah, flannel lined utility barn field. I went crazy with the keywords. It sold in one day for $40 plus shipping. And I still put American Living in the drop down for like the brand. So if somebody searched American Living, they could still find my item. But as far as just what you see when you're on eBay, why deter them with a bad brand? Just give them the keywords they want to see. Make it more searchable. So anyway, the Faded Glory, I would probably pick it up for $20 as part of my experiment.
Yeah, I think just looking at chore coats in general, and chore coats are usually the longer length coats with the bigger pockets towards the bottom. They're usually canvas. Sometimes they're flannel lined. This time of year, they are popping off. And I think also the style is, much more attractive, helping the sell-through rate. But yeah, chore coats are good. What are you doing for the first photo? Because you usually do it like really nice. You like open up the jacket, you turn it a little bit. Or is it just like a straightforward photo? I think that helps a lot, more appealing.
Yeah, so most items I do put some sort of twist on the first photo, and my thought process is if people are just scrolling quickly and they see so many full front of a jacket, boom, 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 just anything to catch their eye or to like grab their attention. Oh, that one's different. What's different about that? Oh, do. I don't know if there's any science behind it. My numbers for sell-through rate say keep doing what you're doing, so I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But for the chore jacket, yeah, if there's a liner, I definitely want that to be visible in the jacket. I do try to take so for a chore jacket, I don't zoom in very far, and I kind of tilt it at like a 45-degree angle. And I don't want to zoom in too far because I want to make sure that they can see like the pockets on the front, whether they have like the flak pockets or maybe the open, I call them patch pockets because it almost looks like the back pocket of a jean on the front. those little nuances is what can sell your item to somebody that's searching style-based items. They're like, oh, I like it when I just shove my hands right down in the pockets, or oh, I like a flat pocket because I put my AirPods in there. Little nuances are subconsciously affecting our buyers, and so you want all the details that are necessary to grasp the item still visible, but I just try to make it a little unique.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yep. I agree. I agree. Standing out. And I really do think not only that, but you taking the extra time. You said you take 2 minutes per listing. I really do think that pays dividends because the reason why you're taking the time is you're making a good listing and you're also looking up style codes, model numbers. And that's like the key, right? I feel like a lot of people don't do that because they want to do it quickly, but taking the extra time to find the style of that item, especially if it's a Patagonia, an Eddie Bauer, thing like that, it's really gonna help. It's really gonna help. Okay, so before we let you go, I want to give some encouragement to the people that are watching. Let's just say you could fill in the blank. If I want to be successful in reselling next year, I need to do X. What's your fill in the blank there? And it could just
For
be
me or for the people?
for the people or for you, whatever. For you or
For the people?
for the people. If I want to be good next year, I want to make this full-time thing a reality. Where I got to focus on.
If you want to be good next year, you figure out what your goals are based on what you are going to do, and you do it. You do what you say you're going to do, and then you try to get better every day.
I love it. I love it. Very
Is
simple.
that small? Is that one thing? I don't know.
Yeah, and I just do it.
It was a triple thing.
I love it because it goes back to what you were just saying earlier in the podcast, that you were doing the same thing as you did pretty much in 2023, but you got better because it was the reps, like just get better, like skill acquisition, put in the reps over and over. Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of can get scatterbrained, especially with all the different information out there. Focus on who you are, what you want, the goals that you've set, and just put in the reps. Put the phone down, even though you're watching this probably on your phone, but put the phone down, get to work, put in the work. I appreciate you so much coming on second time around, and I learned a lot as well. Go check out Caleb. He's on Instagram, YouTube. I got all all the links in the description. I think this is going to come out on Christmas, so Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Go party it up. Appreciate everybody watching. Love the community that we have, just the whole reselling community as a whole. You guys can comment down below. What were some takeaways? What are some goals that you have next year? How can you put that into action? I'd love to hear them.
Before we go, can I say something?
Yes. Any last thoughts?
Okay, before we go, I want to say something. I just want to give Bo his flowers. He's out here posting podcasts and videos. He's running 2 shows a day. He's got all this excellent. He's trying to pay people out there to source. This guy is a hard-working man providing for his family. So I just wanted to say that I respect that, admire that about you, and that's what I, aim to do every day for me and my family. So cheers to you, man.
I appreciate it. I'm inspired by everybody that is on social media out there crushing it. It's not me. I give all glory to God. It's not me at all. I am just get the idea, put it in action. I just hear like this a voice, stop complaining and do it. And it's like, all right. And things have actually turned out now that I've actually done it instead of not doing it, But I really appreciate that, Caleb. I look up to you big time. Just all the people that we've interviewed over the last couple weeks, just like, it's not easy. It's not easy. But what makes it easier is watching other people do it along with me. It's so cool. So appreciate that. Thank you so much. You as well. Have a blessed Christmas, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Peace out.